So my name is Michael. I'm an Anishinaabe from Ontario. So our traditional territories are Ontario, Manitoba, Minnesota, Illinois, quite a large area. We're the largest linguistic group in North America. I'm going to try and make this as quickly as possible. I am an indigenous person. My father's Mexican, which comes from the word Mexica. It was the name of the valley where Mexico City is. They're another group of indigenous people. So our lands are rich in resources. People came, certain economic systems came to our territories, and they had ways of not such healthy ways and friendly ways of getting access to those resources, right? So through unethical business practices, we were marginalized, put on reserves. South African apartheid was actually modeled after Canada's reserve system, where Nelson Mandela did 27 years in prison. Canada was very effective in coming out looking like a peacekeeper after clearing the land for development. So anyways, that being said, it left us in a pretty precarious position. Our cultures, which are thousands of years old now, are on the verge of extinction in some areas, particularly along the West Coast. So we have to be innovative now, right? It's a race against the clock to get young people to start picking up their cultures again. And so that's what we're doing, and we're having fun while doing it. And part of that is through screen printing, which is one of the most fun and effective ways of just engaging in art, and it's healing. Anybody can do it. I thought I could only draw stick men up until recently. And then turns out, like somebody else was saying, they stole other people's designs. I didn't know what I was doing when I first started. I just took these images off the internet. Tupac Amaru was actually a native person from Peru. He was one of like the last traditional chiefs. He was quartered by the Spaniards like William Wallace was by the British. They cut off his head, quartered his body, whatever, right? It's just how they did things back then, I guess. So anyways, and the headdress also has meaning to the Lakota, the Sioux people. We call them Sioux. It means enemy, actually, in one of our languages. So they kind of misunderstood that. But how do you get kids who are just so marginalized and angry? How do you get them to learn about these complex issues? You make it fun for them, right? So screen printing enables us to do that. So we can discuss complex social justice issues, environmental issues, culture, but make it fun. Because these kids will tell you to F right off, right? First of all, having the experience. Like I wasn't locked up, I was in treatment centers, I went through that system, right? And I lost a lot of peers. A lot of them still continue to die. And I was one of the few that made it out. So I often wonder, like, hey, wait, so what are how can we address these issues, right? And so trying a lot of things over 10 years, we found a few things. And so in the background here, so screen printing is one way. And like I said, come check out our studio. Bring a shirt. I want you guys to experience it yourself, man. It's amazing. And so part of the other thing is, I don't know if you're familiar with West Coast cultures. They have two colors that are predominant here, red and black, right? So I used to collect comic books. And Deadpool, I always loved Deadpool. Before these guys were famous, I used to read all this stuff. So I took I'll show you a photo I took. This is just I had this guy sitting on my shelf for a while. And one day I don't know what my wife was doing. She had the kitchen door, and I was like, I was just walking on my phone. I was like, oh, I'm gonna take a picture of this guy. And so she had a painting that was actually in the background. So I think that was the original photo. But anyways, using Photoshop, which is, I learned Photoshop through this when I was making my crude images. Right? That was the original photo, and then isolating, we end up with all these different images, and because of technology, somebody was saying they're showing an app, right, or stuff that if you're not a graphic designer, there's all kinds of stuff, like Adobe Spark. I use a lot of Adobe products. So this is automatically fitted to fit your Facebook cover profile photo. So these things are it's making technology accessible, making social media accessible. You can put out advertisements, and the pictures move within the advertisements too, right? So I couldn't even do this stuff a few years ago. I grew up, I was impoverished. I had nothing new, nothing. And within the span of a few years, I was able to accelerate really quickly, right? And so now actually, we're actually creating a lot of the trends. I'm not taking ideas. Now that we have access to resources and stuff like that, technologies, we're creating a lot of the tools, learning tools ourselves. And like I said, we're having fun while doing it. So that was, I don't know, these are just different filters and stuff like that. But Deadpool, he's actually the color of a First Nations, red and black. So I'm going to slap a cedar hat on him, some abalone buttons, and he's going to he's gonna have this critical discussions with Captain Patriotic, aka Captain America, about how like the land issues, you know. So we're gonna explore complex social justice issues and complex trauma, and we're gonna bring it. And the young people, they're so engaged by this. This hasn't even been done before, you know. So these kids, they're intelligent. You know, they just don't like they don't like workshops. I hate workshops, you know, and I'm staff. So we're just bringing this kind of stuff, and like I said, we're having fun while doing it. And I don't know, I didn't have another guy, so all I had was a toadstool from my Nintendo Wii. So I kind of like shoved the gun in his hand, AK-47. But like I said, the kids love it, right? And it teaches them computer skills. You know, we're doing stuff around audio. Today we just met with these guys from the Royal Conservatory. We're going to be making our own music. We're doing all kinds of indigenous storytelling. You have to understand, back in the day, not that long ago, this was illegal. We couldn't speak our languages. There's elders here that talk about they couldn't speak the languages in the streets and stuff like that. We couldn't wear these clothing. We couldn't like this. This was all illegal, you know? So anyways, we're just bringing it back, and we're having fun while doing it. And it's not just us. There was other people who were put under the same pressure. The Doukhobors, the Ukrainians, stuff like that. Any Eastern Europeans, same thing. They had their cultures beat out of them. So how do we address these issues and not make it so heavy? You know, I'm not here to make people feel bad. And if you feel a little nervous about some of the subject content, good. That's a good thing, because you have a conscience, you know. I think that's a sign that you're a good person, you know. So it's an indicator. Hold on to that feeling and let's explore it, you know. Let's heal and grow. When our ancestors, they didn't have that opportunity, but we have that opportunity now. So anyways, that's all I have to say. Miigwech. Oh.
Oh, I didn't. Okay.